Hi-ho, everyone, and welcome back to the adventures of Turwinkle, the Gnome Mage. Well, hi, Turwinkle.
Salutations.
Are you all set for tonight?
Affirmative.
Well, great, because tonight we're going to be talking about RP relationships and what that means. And so we have brought a couple of guests with us to speak on this very topic. We've got Mirianda and Devoner, who have an in-game relationship. And so we're going to talk all about that. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right in, shall we? All right, folks. Well, here they are, Mirianda and Devoner. And if you haven't seen the wonderful episode with House Hathan, well, now you get a chance to meet the guild leader of that house. And that is Lady Mirianda C. Hathan, Lady of House Hathan, Priestess of the Light, Lady GM of House Hathan. She's a level 90 human priest, and she's quietly smiling. And why, ma'am, are you quietly smiling?
Well, she's thinks about Devoner a lot, and she's just very happy right now.
Oh, well, nice. That's wonderful to say. And if you did see that episode, you did not see Lord Devoner, because unfortunately he didn't make it to that wonderful episode, but now we get the chance to meet him. And this is Lord of House Hathan, the former knight, champion of the House of Nobles, the Lord of House Hathan, level 90 human paladin, and he currently can always be found with a small smile on his lips, Lord Devoner R. Hathan. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And again, is it the same answer for why you're smiling?
Indeed it is. He's always thinking about Mary.
Wonderful, because, and it sounds like we've chosen the perfect two to talk about in-game relationships. So folks, we're going to go ahead and hop right in as soon as we come. All right, so we found a nice place to sit down and discuss in-game relationships. And we're out here actually at the lighthouse in Stormwind Harbor. And it's a nice place to come if you're pitching woo, as it were. Hear the nice foghorn from the lighthouse and watch the ships go by. So you two are married in game, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Excellent. And how long have you been married?
I think we said about a month, I think.
Yeah, around a month. Seems good.
Excellent. And how long had you been dating before you got married?
We started around the summer, so I'm guessing it probably around three or 4 months, maybe 2.
I think about that much, yeah.
Sure. And so how long have you two known each other in game?
Almost a year, maybe a little over a year, I think.
Well, excellent. So over a course of a year, you went from being friends, being in the same guild, correct? And then moved into dating and then finally got married. We have that about right?
It was a very interesting process, actually. It's the way they interacted with each other for a long time was, it was obvious there was tension there, but they never really were around each other simply for the express purpose to court, as it were.
These two were in fact very shy towards one another.
Oh yes, very.
Now, folks, we'll be back and we're going to talk a little bit about how you get involved in a in-game relationship and how that comes about. So when we come back, we'll discuss that a little bit. And we're back. So in-game relationships, it's a very complex type of RP. It can be a lot of fun. It can also cause a lot of stress, and it can cause a lot of anger in some cases. But for the most part, hopefully, it turns out to be a fun and rewarding RP experience. Have you guys really enjoyed it so far?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It's an amazing experience.
And what made you decide to get into an RP relationship with each other?
Sorry, Dev.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Well, like I said, when they first started interacting with each other, it wasn't really, they weren't trying to necessarily hook up, but the more the two of them interacted with each other, it was just adorable, really. And we just kind of let it evolve from that, and it felt right.
All right, Dev, what do you think?
Well, I think Mary covered most of it. The thing is, Mary and Dev were they were, they were very shy towards one another. They didn't exactly show their love like right off the bat. It wasn't love at first sight. It was more of a, you know, kind of poke at you, you poke back at me.
Okay. And so obviously, Mary, you were in the guild first, were you not? Was Dev, did you join the guild um, around the same time? Did you help create the guild, or because we didn't get a chance to talk to you at the guild interview, how did you get in the guild?
Well, it's a very, I guess, a gushy love story way to begin. Dev got into the guild because of Mary. He, it was during an RP event they had, and they were going to explore a cavern, to which Dev lent he lent the sword to them. Said, well, I'm not doing anything in Stormwind, I'll help you guys. And Mary was very nice to me, so I don't see why not. And, from there, it kind of just went like, Dev started to talk more of House Hathan. He didn't consider himself part of them at first, more of just of a guest. But the more and more he talked with Mary, the more he was more inclined to join them.
Oh, well, excellent. And so you joined basically to almost win the hand of Mary in a way?
No, not at all, actually. Dev was a pure knight. He wasn't the one to go out and capture the fair lady of sorts. It was more of a... He was more of a man who was just willing to fight more than love.
Sure, sure.
Which, Mary, in a way, Mary showed him that he doesn't have to always fight.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll be back to talk some more about this wonderful relationship. So, when we're talking about in-game relationships, it involves not only, your characters in the game, but it involves really a cooperation between both of you in real life. And so how did you guys come up with the decision in real life to RP a relationship in the game?
Well, in a way, it kind of just sort of happened. Every time we had a chance to RP, we would also talk out of character. And once things got to a point where it felt like things were going to develop in that direction, we just kept an open line of communication, which I think communication is key in any relationship, whether it's RP or an actual relationship you have with a friend or a significant other.
Yeah, the whole thing is that the relationship we have is that it's very open. We make sure we tell each other everything. We don't really hide too much. So, I mean, that plays a really key role in this whole thing.
Well, sure. I think it much in like real life relationships, you got definitely have to like Mary said, keep that open line of communication, and like Dev said, not have any secrets and not hide anything from one another, and I think that makes for a happy relationship. So so basically, it just kind of you allowed the RP to come naturally, and just through your RP, that's how you guys decided. Well, let's go ahead and date one another and eventually get married. Um, and so now that you're married, how do you think that has changed your RP?
Well, for starters, because they're still, Miri and Dev still are very definitely in that honeymoon phase, so they're They're a little disgusting to be around for most people because they're always holding hands and stealing little kisses on each other's cheeks. So they're that couple. They are that couple.
Yeah, as Mary said, they're very disgusting in that way. um, they're I don't think it affects it to a big point. From what I see, is Dev and Miri have always been lovey-dovey around each other, even around other people, and hopefully that will continue because these two are very sweet.
Now, is this your first RP relationship? And I'm not talking just about these characters. Have you had other characters in RP relationships before?
Um, I've had I've had other characters in RP relationships, but as far as I know, this is the longest one.
I've had my first RP character was actually my first RP relationship as well. Uh, this one is, I would say that Miriam and Dev is probably my favorite one to date, simply because they're so disgustingly cute. It's I love it.
All right, great. All right, folks, we'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more about that question in just a second. All right, so getting back to talking about other relationships, have you folks had other relationships with these tunes?
Miri was in a relationship previously before Devoner. It was with Savine.
Oh, okay.
I have also had other RP relationships on different characters. This is not my first RP relationship.
All right, and Devanor?
This is my second RP relationship. Dev never had any relationship with anybody. There were relationships where he wanted to grow on, but they just couldn't because, as for example, he liked the mage, who was the daughter of a lord, but the mage somehow she got sold off to another lord, so he couldn't do anything about that, and he had to back away.
Oh my. And Murray, what happened with Sabine?
Well, it was a combination of IC and OOC things. When Miri actually first met Devoner, uh, Savine's player had been absent from the game for a good while, and I was not even sure if he was returning. So even while her and Dev never actually, like I said, like I said earlier, they weren't actually trying to pursue anything. But it was very difficult for Miri to deny her attraction to Devoner. So
All right, and I think that's an important aspect too. If you're going to do an RP relationship, I think it's important that you stay in the game and that if you've decided between the two of you, yeah, this is something that I want to do, that you don't that you don't just not show up for 2 or 3 months and then come back and expect that relationship to be continuing, because much as in real life, if you're not around uh, for a long period of time, you will find when you return, that person may not hold the same feelings for you. Is that correct?
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Sure. All right, folks, we'll be right back with more questions. All right, well, let us talk on RP relationships as as we see them within the races. Now, what I mean by that is we have the human race, the dwarf race, gnome, etc., etc., and you see a lot of human RP relationships, don't we?
Oh yes, a lot of them.
Sure. And but how many dwarf relationships do you see?
I don't think I've actually seen any on this realm. At least I haven't seen any. I'm not saying there aren't any. I just have never seen any myself.
Sure.
They're a very rare breed.
And really, how many dwarf female characters do you see? Not a whole lot. Um,
Oh no.
Now, how many drawn eye relationships do you see? Quite a few, I would think. Yeah.
I I've seen a few drawn-out relationships. Usually if I see a drawn-out relationship, it's cross-race, right?
Right.
Whatever
And
it's called. Cross-race
Interracial.
relationship.
sure.
Thank you!
Sure. And from what I've seen, and this is just from my perspective, but usually it's the human male and a female drawn eye. You rarely see the human or
The other way around.
the other way around, right? Um, Night elf, the same thing, but you'll see more of the more of a combination of male elf and female elf, or any one of those combinations. And so you don't see many human males in relationships with the female gnomes, or male gnomes with female humans. You may see one or two gnome couples around. So really, why do you think that is? Why do you think that it tends to be just the quote-unquote pretty races that tend to hook up?
Well, I think, well, let's face it, it sounds a little shallow, but everyone likes to be pretty. Everyone likes to be attractive. And I also think, especially for the human race, that their lore is a little easier to follow and just kind of pick right up and go with, as opposed to, say, Night Elf or Draenei, because the Night Elves have such a rich and complicated lore that it's a little easier to just pick up with a human, because we're all already human. We know how to act like a human.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Easiest.
Go ahead, Devoner.
It's the easiest race to RP for sure, and like Mary said, we're all beautiful, aren't we?
Yeah, really. You don't see any overweight human character models. All the human models tend to be pretty attractive. You can make them look pretty bad if you want, but for the most part, you don't see a whole lot of those, do you?
Not really. I've seen a few. I know that Miri's sister, one of the reasons why I love the player and the character is because her twin sister actually is played that she is obese. She's chubby.
Right.
But to me, that just makes her cuter.
Sure, but is she? Is her model built that way?
No, it is not, unfortunately. If I know that if WoW was able to give people the choice to make their characters stockier or thinner or taller, people would. I really think people would.
Interesting. Alrighty. Well, we'll come back and we'll talk more about, and I think that's really a great topic, and we could talk on that for a long time, but we'll move on to we'll move on to some more topics in relationships in WoW. So we'll be right back. All right. Well, we're back, and let's talk about RP versus RL, which again, folks, is roleplay versus real life. And one of the main things that you hear about relationships in the game is two sides. One, it has allowed people to, through their characters, find that relationship with their characters, and then find that relationship in real life, and things turn out great. I've met a few people that have, through their characters, when they met in the game, they RP'd with each other for years, and then eventually met and got married in real life, which is a great and fun way to do it. But you also have the other side of the coin, don't we? Where it takes a turn for the worst, where someone in real life already is married or has a real life relationship and allows that RP relationship to overshadow that and has caused divorces or breakups to happen. And so what do you guys think on that type of situation? Now, Mary, you're engaged. Dev, in real life. Dev, are you married or engaged or have a girlfriend or anything in real life?
No. So, ladies, yeah, I'm single.
There you go, ladies. Dev is single and looking, I assume.
Oh yeah.
All
looking.
right. Well, great. So, Mary, does your fiance know that you have an in-game relationship?
He does, and as I said before, the communication is key in any relationship, and that goes for this sort of thing because the kind of things that your characters get into can sometimes get into areas that people feel uncomfortable with. So I'm very honest, I'm very open with my fiance about what we do, and I even tell him the stories that that happen between Miri and Dev or the guild because he likes to hear them. He can't come and play with us because unfortunately he lives in another country right now. But as long as I'm honest and open with him, he has had no issue with what we do.
Alrighty, and yeah, but you'll note that there are a lot of people that, again, it gets some people blur that line sometimes between in-game relationships and real life, and it's I think we've talked earlier that it can get scary out there sometimes with that.
Oh yes, it really can. Unfortunately, I've had to deal with a few instances like that on my old server as well as this server, and it's something that you have to stomp it out very quickly, or it can get really nasty.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple friends who were sexually harassed over the game. Like I said, when you get into these kind of things, you need to be very, very careful, because you said, you can always blur out those lines, and before you know it, the police are down at your doorstep. So,
Yeah, very quickly if you're not again if you're not careful, and the person that you're RPing with knows that it's just RP. This isn't real life, and so folks out there, do be careful with relationship RPs in the aspect that some people take it very seriously and have real feelings involved in the game. So we'll be back and we'll talk a little more on that subject. All right, and we're back, and we talked about some of the negatives, but there are a lot of positives as well to an RP relationship. Uh, Again, that can turn into, for single folks, a way to meet other single folks through their RP, and then eventually maybe even turn into a relationship in real life. And I've seen that with a great couple on the Emerald Dream server, a guy named Return, who met a female named Legs, and they met in the game, and yeah, and have turned that into a real life relationship, and just the greatest couple. And they're looking at maybe sometime down the line taking that step. So, what positives do you guys see from having an in-game relationship?
Well, I definitely see that. I mean, even if you don't actually use it to meet your significant other, it's a great way to make friends. The RP, if you find really good the romance RP, it can be a lot of fun. I know for me, I'm an absolute hopeless romantic, so RP like what Dev and Miri have is just I. When they started really getting together, I was tickled pink.
well, like Mary said, I'm a fool for RP. Like, I can just go dig in. I mean, the romantic RP, I can just dig into that. What Miri and Dev have, it's a really positive relationship. It isn't anything negative. So I mean, I'll be at, anywhere, and when I'm not on WoW, and I'll just be daydreaming about my RP. What I could do when I get home. When I turn on my computer. It's just a great experience because I'm always happy with it.
Now,
Oh yeah.
how much time in game do you guys spend with one another?
Um. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't always get to spend as much time together as we'd like. Because I'm the guild leader, OOC, as well as IC. A lot of times, Miri has a lot of prior obligations that she has to do first before she can spend time with Devoner. But when we get the chance to, sometimes we can spend they can spend hours together.
And Dev, you knew that going into the RP relationship with Mary, though, didn't you?
Yeah, it was something that you kind of knew in the back of your head. But, to be honest, it only makes the RP that much more sweet because you're just trying and trying to get them by themselves. And once you do, it's amazing experience. Because, yeah, we do go on for hours and hours.
Alrighty, folks, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll talk about the elusive ERP. So we'll be back to talk about those subjects. All right, we're back. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that elephant would be ERP. Because when people think of in-game relationships, a lot of people think, well, they're just in it for the erotic role play. That's what ERP stands for, folks. And so, as far as that goes, that varies from anywhere from fade to black to very descriptive ERP. You've got your Goldshire ERP versus, kind of romantic ERP, as it were. And so, where do you guys fall on that spectrum? I mean, you
Romantic, definitely romantic.
sure, you don't have to get into any detail, even though I'm sure House Hathan would love to know. But you guys,
Oh yeah, they definitely.
Oh,
as far as
they already know it too much.
so, as far as boundaries are set, did you guys set those before you started your in-game relationship, or did you just allow that to come naturally?
It just came very naturally. We let things occur as they would. Um, I felt comfortable enough with him that if anything should come up that I felt uncomfortable with or felt that we were going a little too far, I would be able to whisper him and say, "Do you mind if we just stop here?" Or I don't feel comfortable with that, but it's never actually come up, so that's a good thing.
Well, you'll see a lot of people that will say, RP welcome, walk-ups are welcome, but no ERP. And that because that does tend to be, when people are looking for, again, uh, in-game relationships, it's kind of, like I mentioned, kind of the big elephant in the room when it comes to uh, those kinds of role plays. Uh, so, what would your guys' advice be to people when it comes to uh, ERP in the game?
uh, I think the short answer would be tread lightly. Um, again, it's all about communication. Don't be afraid to voice if you're uncomfortable with something. You have absolutely no obligation to do anything with someone if you don't feel comfortable with it. Just like in real life, you can say no if you want to, no matter what point you are at in the RP.
Sure. Dev, what would you say?
Well, like Mary said, you need to have communication. You gotta respect your RP partner. If she says no, it means no. Simple as that. We've had times where we talked about it first, like she whisper me or I whisper her, asking if she feels comfortable with this, and usually to the point, it's always yes. We've had, I think we're very flexible around each other because we know each other pretty well, and we're not very too strict on the things we do.
Sure. And again, I think it really boils down to the person you're RPing with. And, and I think for a lot of people, and I think it would be worthwhile if you're planning on doing a in-game relationship with someone that you set those boundaries from the get-go, so you're not, like I said, freaked out at any certain point, and that you're not offending anybody in game or out of game.
Exactly. It's all about communication. You can't be afraid to talk to your partner out of character. It's so important to get that established because it can get, feelings can be hurt. It can get very ugly very quickly. But if you have a good and open communication, a good friendship, a good relationship out of character, the in-character relationship can be so rewarding.
All right, excellent. Well, folks, we'll come back with some final thoughts on in-game relationships. So we'll be right back. All right, well, it has been a wonderful evening, and we could talk for hours and hours and hours about in-game relationships. In fact, we may come back to this topic again. But what advice would you folks give to new RPers that want to do in-game relationships?
I would give the same advice I give to my to people in real life, which is don't seek it out vehemently. Let it occur naturally. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Be respectful no matter what happens to your RP partner, and always, always keep an open line of communication between them, because that is key in any relationship.
Wonderful. Dev, what would you say?
Like Mary said, if you're gonna have an RP relationship, you gotta find someone you trust, someone you know. I knew Mary for a good while now, and I trust her. So and look how far it's gotten me. The whole RP relationship has been a wonderful experience. I love it to death almost. And I'm just very happy that I was able to find a really good partner to share this with.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you both so much for the fun discussion that we've had tonight. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, we have too.
Well, we've enjoyed it a little too much.
Well, Turwinkle is going to hearth back, folks, to the hinterlands, where we will put our final thoughts on the subject tonight, and we'll allow Devoner and Mary to have the island here at the lighthouse in Stormwind Harbor all to themselves. So we will see you folks when we get there. And we're back. Well, what a wonderful night tonight. We enjoyed the conversation on RP relationships with Mary and Dev. It was certainly a lot of fun, wasn't it, Turwinkle?
Affirmative.
You bet, and we'd like to thank both those two for taking the time to sit down and talk with us about RP relationships. It certainly was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And really a topic that we will certainly have to come back to, because I think we just barely touched the surface of the complexities of RP relationships. And we'd probably like to talk to maybe some other RP couples out there and talk about their ups and their downs and why it is that they've chosen to have an RP relationship. So, Turwinkle, it was a lot of fun tonight, sir. Thank you very much. You did an excellent job. So, folks, if you like the episode, click that like button. If you'd like to comment on RP relationships or on any of the other previous episodes that we've had, do so below. Let us know what you think. And finally, if you'd like to join Team Turwinkle, we'd love to have you. So subscribe tonight. All right, Turwinkle. Well, excellent job. As I said, sir, questions right on point, and we had a great time. But I guess, sir, we will see you next time, Turwinkle.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, Turwinkle. Bye-bye.